Some of my coaching students now, like, I'm like, dude, you're there. Right. Like, you're stuttering. I did the same thing.
Right.
And I did that shit for like a year. But like, if you can just go through that, just keep making the calls. You could be the dumbest person on the planet and fucking get a deal.
Welcome back to Cashflow, where we talk about turning properties into profits. I'm here with rockstar, wholesaler, and flipper Ashlee Chapman.
What's up, team?
Chapman, how you doing?
I'm fucking great.
First of all, one of my favorite people. One of my favorite people right here.
Really?
Just because you're authentic, and for those of people who don't know, like over 200 flips and wholesales in your belt, not your first rodeo, and you crush it.
Yeah.
And I know everybody in my sphere in the San Diego industry is like, I know Chapman. And if you know Chapman, you've heard, LFG, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
That's
Get it tatted so it's real.
That's the motto, and that's why I love it. So I appreciate you coming in, and I think we're going to give a lot of value to those people listening and watching today about, what it's like to crush in that wholesale flip market. And so let me just kick it off with, you've been doing this, 7 years?
Almost 7 years, yeah.
And how'd you get rolling?
I just moved down here sight unseen after selling cars in Seattle. Like, straight up, I was at work. I was like, fuck this. I am only going to make like 20 grand a month forever if I stay here and work 7 days a week. Found a rental in San Diego, never been here. Decided that was a good play. So I signed a lease literally the next day, quit my job, and took the summer off and moved. And here I am. And I started cold calling. So,
cold calling. How did you get into the actual flipping wholesale spot? Like, where did it start?
So it started by me being an inside sales agent for a brokerage. Actually, one of my biggest mentors, Hans Strasina, up in the Bay Area, I was cold calling for him with the office. He was with that office. It was a small boutique broker. And we were calling pre-foreclosures. So right out of the gate, when I got licensed, I had like 6 short sale listings. And everybody told me that I met at the time was like, and I didn't know anybody in San Diego, but they were like, yo, why are you doing that? There are no deals. And I was like, well, I don't know. I got licensed and had 6 listings in a month. So from there, from just calling pre-foreclosures, which is a wild animal in itself, it just evolved into like this distressed realm where I kind of just got stuck in it. So I don't want to say I got lucky because I really did pursue a lot of different buckets of distressed leads, but the pre-foreclosures just sent me.
So when we talk about finding that or prospecting, what are you using to help get you those deals? Pre-foreclosure, like, are you just calling out the phone book? How's that work?
Dude, I fucking wish. No, I literally pull lists on a platform. I've used it since day one. I don't know systems that well. I use the same systems, Property Radar. It's $99 a month, literally so cheap. You can pull any type of list on there, but it was big back in, 2008 to 2015 for foreclosures for agents and investors. And from there, it's like, all right, well, how do I get code violations? How do I upload this data into Mojo? How do I get the phone numbers? And I kind of just went down these paths. And it ended up working out. To be honest, if you make the calls, you're going to get the deals, whether the system is Property Radar or PropStream or whatever it is you use. As long as you're using it effectively, you're going to get somewhere.
And talk about that before we get into prospecting. Talk about how mentorship, like from Hans and other people in your life, have shaped your desire to let's fucking go after it like this.
Well, I think that there's a lot to be said for Hans specifically. I literally have been talking to him. He came to me for coaching recently, and I was like, hey, man, I could never take your money. But this guy, he's an Olympic athlete. Him and his wife got into real estate after the Olympics, so they were, 30 when they started. So I'm coming into this, I'm 21 years old, and I walk into an office all about calling pre-foreclosures, and Hans is like the most disciplined, and I'm like the most party animal person. So this guy literally is somebody that just you don't mess around with. When you talk to Hans, you have that level of respect. So it made me work harder. I was like, well, I have something to live up to now.
And that does, that discipline, especially when we're talking about the phone. How many people are afraid of the phone? How many people, I'll call like 3 or 4. Okay, I'm done.
Everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, literally there is so much marketing around cold calling saying that it doesn't work, that for people like me, please keep doing it.
Yeah.
Fucking cold calling doesn't work. You're right. Fuck that, dude. If you could get over that fear, and like some of my coaching students now, like I'm like, dude, you're there. Right. Like you're stuttering. I did the same thing.
Right.
And I did that shit for like a year. But like if you can just go through that, just keep making the calls. You could be the dumbest person on the planet and fucking get a deal.
If you get at bats, you're right. It is a numbers game.
It is.
Okay. If you get your data, if you make X amount of calls a day, you're going to get in front of Y amount of people. That's going to get you Z amount of appointments and closings. And that's what it's all about.
100%.
And nobody wants to do that. They want to dance and shake on TikTok.
They want to go to these. They want to go to all these events. They want to do all these shiny object syndrome things that don't actually bring you the real business. Like, yeah, you can go get deals from agents. Fuck that. I want the deal without the agent because I'm cutting out all the commissions, the negotiations, direct to seller. I get a better deal, not against agents at all, but like, I don't want to be drunk at an event ever again. Like, I just don't.
Fair enough on drunk at an event. All right, let's talk a deal. All right, let's talk a recent deal and kind of talk me through like, was it a flip or was it a wholesale? And let's start there. Where was it and
I guess right now I'm under contract on 2 deals in Denver. Okay. I have a couple coaching students out there blowing it out of the water. And I mean, just like, they're like, I'll pay you whatever amount of money to coach us. I'm like, cool. So I go out there, we go on these appointments, and sure enough, slay 2 contracts. They seem to be in decent places in Denver. That market, from what I can tell, is pretty stable. I talked to quite a few people, and one of them's a wholesale deal. I'm buying it, closing January 5th for $425,000. It's worth about $560 as is. It's all remodeled. Seller's old, doesn't want to put it on the market because he doesn't have anybody to leave the property to. He's just like, I don't care.
And this is all through and I think I've heard you say this before. This is all through using your same method. Get your data, get on the phone, get your at-bats, get your deal.
Yes. Your title rep is your leverage.
So Denver, San Diego, Arizona, copy, paste, go.
Yeah, literally just rinse and repeat. And it's very scalable. I think the problem with scaling, though, is the boots on the ground, like the quality of the boots on the ground, because if you can't close, if you're not a closer, man, I ain't putting you in front of these fucking deals that I can close.
Right.
So, it takes a lot of time and effort. So I think maybe in the future, scaling will be part of that.
So we're using your program, the LFG program. Let's fucking go. Get your data, get on the phone, get in front of your prospect, find a good deal. Now, how are you structuring these, whether it be distressed property or a wholesale type deal? How are you structuring them when you get in there?
Primarily what I'm doing now is like a lot of wholetailing. So ultimately I have access to a lot of people's funds. One of my longest time investors, I've been working with him for about 6 years. He just has all cash. I leverage when I need to, depending on the deal returns. And then from there, it's like, I don't put any of my own money in. Right. So, and even for hard money, like I'm pulling money for the down payment. Everybody knows somebody that has $100 grand sitting in their bank account. You just don't know it yet till you ask them. Right. So, for these deals, it's very much so just an easy structure. It's like, dude, quick close. Like the one deal in Denver at 420, it's a condo. Comps are great. Average days on market is 2 days. Like that thing's gonna fucking fly. So I don't need to do anything to it. So it's like, dude, I called up a couple people and I was like, yep, I need $425,000. And they're like, done, sending the wire.
I love that. Yeah. When you are putting together that contract, again, when we talked about like copy and paste the other areas, are you using specific type of contracts? Do you use the same kind of like playbook in terms of like earnest money, contingency? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I always go 3% on the earnest money. It's a big negotiation point for sellers, especially if you are working with agents, and an agent is good, they're gonna, push that in the contract for you. But I use all the realtor forms, like California Association of Realtors contracts. You have to if you're licensed. The investment purchase contracts, I'm not a fan of, even if you're not licensed. Find an agent who can write it up for you and pay them a finder's fee or something.
Find an agent.
Like, just do it because that's what they're there for.
Right.
And with wholesaling, as long as you're not telling the seller one thing and doing another,
right,
and you're just being transparent, you fucking put anything in that contract.
Right.
Like, you could tell them that you're going to pay $25,000 of debt on your credit card through escrow. And as long as it's in writing, it's fucking real, right? If it's not in writing, it's not real. That's what the regular contracts per state are there for. So for the Denver deals, I'm using the Denver contracts.
Do you think that's one of the biggest issues that you find is that people are shady as fuck? They just
100%.
Won't disclose.
Yeah, they don't disclose shit. Well, and a lot of things wholesaling became really big during COVID. Like, I was doing wholesaling way before that. So, San Diego market specifically was like inundated with all these people who lost their jobs due to COVID and had no idea what to do. And that's fine. But there's a lot of people out there that just aren't doing the right thing. Right. And they might not have a license, so they think they don't need to, but you do, because this is like, this isn't a game. You're dealing with people's lives. This is a big transaction for people still. At the end of the day, if you don't have a heart in it, just don't fucking do it.
Do you ever have, when looking at these deals and evaluating them, do you ever have that pass go, or like, I won't do this kind of deal, or like, tell me about like what your criteria is for saying, I want this one, or is it just, I'll sell it to you?
So I think that the criteria for me specifically, as far as a buy box, is I'll buy anything as long as the numbers work. And it also depends on where I'm pulling money from. You know, how cheap is the money? Who's partnering with you on the deal? For me, some of my investors, like, I have really good splits with them. So I have zero money out of pocket, no monthly, stuff like that. Whereas a lot of people are leveraging institutional hard money lenders who are raking in the interest payments every month. So if the deal makes sense and I know that my capital will work for it, okay, great. Well, I know I can flip it. That means I know somebody else that has the same capital can flip it, so I can wholesale it, right? So ultimately, you just have to find those people, and there aren't a lot of them. Right. Not a lot of people are running around with cash, so I'm very fortunate in that aspect. But 100%, if the numbers make sense, all day long.
So it doesn't matter, and I know we talked a lot about before, like you love distress. It doesn't matter if it's distressed. It doesn't matter if you can add units. For you, if the numbers make sense, if the amount of money out of pocket leveraged makes sense with what you're going to get at the end, you're like, if you'll sell it, I'll take it.
100%. Every time. Yeah. Or I'll just buy it and put it on the market as is.
I'll just put it right back.
Yep.
What is a big takeaway lesson when things go sideways? Well, first of all, why do things go sideways? Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer. Failure is great. It helps me learn. I don't like to fail, but at least I learn from it.
We all fail.
What if you have it? You're not trying.
Yep.
What does it look like when something goes sideways, and what do you learn from things when they do go sideways?
Yeah, I think a big lesson for me this last year was construction. I don't play in the construction very well because I have a temper. I will just roll in guns blazing, and that's a fact. Everybody knows that. Like, dude, Ashlee doesn't walk in here until this is done because otherwise it's going to be a mess. And so ultimately it's like, man, unless you're going to babysit a contractor, that's why I like wholesaling so much. It's like, dude, I'm blowing these flippers out of the water I'm taking 6 months off a year. And you're working 365 days a year because your crews and your people that are your right hand and your left hand, they're babysitting contractors. My biggest lesson, my biggest failure in this business was last year through a terrible contractor. And I mean, we're talking couple mil fuck ups, shit that you just, I've straight up, I don't ever want to live that again. Right. But in that time period, what I wasn't doing was prospecting, bringing in new business. So it hurt really fucking bad, man. It was painful. At the same time, I had an investor who had a child drown on his primary residence. Oh. So shit just hit the fan. Oh. And, people can speculate, but until you're in that, you got to go through it. And it happens to everybody. Like, you hear about it. Like, man, I was like guns blazing the first 5 years of my career. These last 2 years, it's been like, all right, let's reset.
Right.
What kind of deals do I want to do? Well, that's wholesale and wholetail. I don't want to flip it. I'm going to give it to you because I honestly think that your time is better spent on my time.
Right.
Fucking doing the job.
Right.
I don't want to do it.
Right.
I don't want to flip. I don't like construction. And even if you have a good project manager, the shit is hard. Like, you got to babysit these guys. They're fucking awful.
And a lot of that, look, I know my own personality. Like, if you don't know your personality, you're not going to set yourself up for success because you need to know how you work with people.
Right.
And yeah. And if you're, if you have trouble managing people because you want to strangle them out because everybody's a fucking moron or lazy or your standards are so high that it's very difficult for you to play in that sandbox, then you're right. Mm-hmm. If you want to be in the construction flip side, you got to have a project manager who can manage a project while you do what you do best, which
is bringing in deals.
Is like fucking bringing in deals, prospecting, hitting that phone. And again, this is just a good lesson for those out there. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are. That way you set yourself up when you structure what it is you're going to go do. So right now, wholesaling is what you're locked in.
That's all I'm doing.
And talk to me a little bit about how you talked about coaching, like, so you're showing other people how to do this. You're giving away your secrets. Like, what's up? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's like a lot of secrets. I think it's literally just fucking doing it. Right. But yeah, so I like 3 or 4 years ago, I had people that were hitting me up constantly about like wanting to work with me, right? And it's like, yeah, everybody says that they want to work with you. But when they come in the office and they aren't fucking paying you for your time to learn the skill that you have, they're deadbeats.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. I don't want to be disrespectful. Yeah. It's a fact. These people are so lost in the sauce. Right. It's better for them to stay in a job. So here a couple months ago, somebody that's been asking me to coach her for like 3 years, well, I was like, fine. I just wasn't there yet. Right. I was like, I still have a lot to learn. We all are learning.
Of course.
And I was like, yeah. But this is what my time's worth. She's like, name your price. I said, yeah, it's going to be steep because if I don't have that financial commitment from you, you're not going to commit.
You're not going to take it seriously.
Because your return on investment needs to be there, and I can produce that. Right. And I can teach you the skills to do that, but you still have to do the work. And thus far, I mean, I think I have like nearly 30 students now. Like, it just blew up. Like, I posted on social media a couple times, and like everybody knows me for calling. Like, they know that. So it was crazy.
I just want to throw this out there. If you haven't seen Chapman's social media where she's popping Coors Lights and dialing for dollars, they're on the phone. It's like, hey, come over 5 o'clock. We're popping Coors and we're going for it. It's awesome because people that I didn't even know connected with you are in there dialing. And I'm like, that person's actually pretty good too. Dang.
Yeah.
So good.
And the cool thing about calling is like when you're doing it, like, because when I was calling, I was by myself. Right. Dude, that's fucking hard. I know how hard and how terrible you feel after calling. Like, I've been told everything under the sun. I've been stalked. I have been fucking harassed by people that I've cold called. I've been threatened. Like, you're gonna get that. So when you bring a group of people together, and I mean, it could be the best groups are the most diverse groups of types of people. Your monotone people, your fucking like crazy people like me.
Yeah.
We all learn something. Like, every time I cold call, even with my students now, like, I'm learning so much more, and I'm getting better because I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, if you actually did it this way, because now that I'm hearing them consistently, I'm like, yeah. This is only going to get better. Right. And you're only going to get better. But, yeah, if you want to call, get a fucking badass group of people together from all walks of life and just have fun.
Yeah.
And maybe have a couple of drinks. That's what I used to do. Yeah, I used to do, like, little beers and calls thing. But, I'm kind of out of the prospecting seat now. Sure. But that's the growth. Like, so for my students, I'm like, dude, if I can make you better than I was in the first year, because the first year I struggled, you're
getting that back.
I didn't get, it took me a year to understand shit. And then I was like, holy, I have something here. Right. Like, what am I doing? I need to actually be hitting the phones 10 hours a day.
Right.
So once that light bulb goes off for people, and if I can create it sooner by collaboration, dude, it's like they'll be on their own, and they're still going to have a lot to learn. But at the end of the day, they have the one skill that everybody is marketing, saying that it doesn't work. I see cold calling doesn't work every fucking day online. Door
knocking, cold calling, these are skills and things that people in our industry have been doing for, 100 years.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are saying, oh, you don't have to do that anymore, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
No, I love it. And I love doing it with people. Like, I think that's the kicker. Like, if you don't need to have a team. I don't have a team. I mean, I'm building a team in Denver right now, and I think I'm trying to scale soon. But because I know that if I hit up some markets, like, I'm looking at like $100 million paycheck someday. I want that.
Right.
Because I'm driven. But at the end of the day, like, you don't have to have a team and like do this agent thing and like whatever and like put all this pressure on people just to work together. You can actually just work together. Like,
You could actually get together and pick up the phone and make your calls, get your appointments, do your consults. And we talked about this. At-bats are important because then you'll be okay if you miss a couple, but you'll get better from it.
Yep, 100%.
Talk to me about that last part. I think you'd hit it with me before. When we're talking about a deal, if you want to walk away from it, is it ever the right time to say yes? Is it ever the right time to say no to a deal, like when you get them on the phone?
Yeah, there is. I think that now in my career, I'm very picky about even the sellers that I do deals with because there aren't, I'm direct to seller. So there are certain situations that just aren't worth it.
Right.
But back when I was 21, 22, I could give a fuck.
Yeah,
like, I just was going after everything. But I think that that's just a learning curve for people. Because I don't want to ever be in, like, dangerous situations again. Like, and, just stuff like that. You just, there comes a time where you're like, all right, safety is important. And, I'm not 22 anymore.
Well, and parlay that into what are you telling the young real estate entrepreneur now? Just like the people you're coaching, what are you telling them 1 or 2 keys for success if they want to stick in our industry?
Do not do anything but sit on the phones all day. I tell them to live, breathe, eat, sleep, and drink this shit. Right. And I mean, if you can get good on the phones, and it doesn't take long, it just takes repetition.
Right.
If you can get good at it, even if you're not good, you're going to get such a better deal than the investor next to you who's getting deals through agents. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm just personally not good at it. So if you want to build a true business, you do the calls, fuck the Zillow profile. Don't talk to me about, mine isn't even up to date. I literally have thought about just deleting all of it. I'm like, fuck this shit. Fuck that. Don't worry about anything but learning how to talk to people. That is a skill, and I get so much better at it every time, but let the shiny objects go. Fuck the headshots, the Zillow profile, the license. Just call and talk to people.
Other than, you talked about Hans as a mentor, what kind of formal training, if any, did you even need to pick up the phone? Are you reading books on it? Did you ever go to like a Sandler sales course? I mean, what have you done?
Hans and I went to the 10X Growth Conference in Vegas with Grant Cardone. That was pretty cool. But the thing about it is, like, it didn't serve me in my career. It was a lot of marketing. And that's something he's really good at. But it was also something that it wasn't tangible. Like, I couldn't take that information. It was a lot of motivation, but I couldn't take that information and then implement it. Right. So Hans really, for the first year, we worked together for about a year. He really just, like, we role played a little bit here and there. And then honestly, I was kind of just like, not on my own, but a little bit. Like, I didn't really know the pre-foreclosure process at all. Right. And it took me a fucking year. So I don't, like, my coaching students, they're not calling pre-foreclosures because I'm like, dude, that hump to get over, the amount of information you need to know, just go for the lowest hanging fruit. And everybody seems to think that's pre-foreclosures. So, Hans really he was kind of just like a support. But he was the best kind because he was so disciplined.
God, I love it. And other than the discipline background, picking up the phone, are you telling your team that they need to know anything when they get on the phone other than, like, that's your house at 123 Cherry Street and I think I can buy it for X?
Yep, my name is Ashlee Chapman. Do you remember me?
Yeah.
You want to take them off defense?
Yeah.
Then start talking to them about their house. Once that starts happening,
Big. Yeah, it's big.
yeah, it's huge, dude. Like, people don't know sales skills. They literally don't even know how, agents don't know how to negotiate. I'm talking like simple negotiation and contracts. This is very simple. Like, don't talk to them about what they need to do. Plant a seed about what you need to do.
I think this is great advice. Parting thoughts. Are you working on anything, any goals, passion projects here right now? Other than your coaching, what else are you doing that you're like, hey, man, I'm really focused on this and let's fucking go?
I'm focused on dropping into other markets right now.
Nice.
I want to build some teams a little bit all over. I've played around in the Phoenix market. That is my best market.
I love Phoenix.
It's a great market. Denver, it's like, fuck, dude, the sky's the limit. Like, I could take and duplicate what I've done in San Diego anywhere. And if I can find good enough people, the next 5 years, it's like I could be in 5 hot markets. Shit could just be rolling. I want to get out of this,
Yeah.
I don't want to do real estate forever. Oddly enough, I want to fucking do shit.
I don't believe you at all. I want deals forever. Ashlee, thanks for hanging out.
Yes.
It's so good to get your perspective. Someone who's raw but has been in it, doing it every day. Someone I respect tremendously because
so
you're
much.
very forward and you're getting after it. People talk the talk and they don't walk the walk. So
Nobody does.
thanks for being here with us.
Yes.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Cashflow, where we're talking about turning properties into profits. Stay tuned. We'll see you again.